Hello, I'm Abe Madkour with Sports Business Journal, and welcome to an SBJ Executive Insight. And we are speaking to you today from the Bellagio in Las Vegas at the Intercollegiate Athletic Forum presented by Learfield. All day today, we have heard about the mental and physical pressures put on today's student athletes. That student athletes have to compete, of course, on the field, but also face a number of pressures off the field with academics and social life. One company that's addressing that in mental health capacity is Onrise. And today we are fortunate to have Brenda McBride, Chief Medical Officer from Onrise, and Derrick Furlow, Director of Player Engagement from Onrise, with us today. Welcome to our Executive Insight. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Definitely.
Well, you know, like I said, I mean, you've been sitting in the sessions today. We've been hearing about mental health, mental stress, mental pressure on today's student athletes. What is I would say, the approach that Onrise is taking, and why did you get into this space in the first place? Brenda, I'll start with you on that.
Okay, so we got into the space because over the last year, we have been approached by several athletes because they were hesitant to utilize the mental health that's provided by their institutions. While the schools provide mental health services, 50% of the student athletes are hesitant to utilize that service because they are afraid of the repercussions of any of their private information getting back to the coach and the team.
That's an amazing number. 50% are uncomfortable using the services offered by the team or the organization.
Yes, the NCAA did a study in 2020 which showed about equal numbers will and will not use mental health provided by the schools, despite knowing that it exists and knowing how to access it.
And the program, in terms of how does it translate into, they're done with athletics, they transition out of school. Is Onrise a continuing program where we could support them?
Yes, Onrise really starts the process of transitioning out of sports right from the get-go.
Okay.
So it's a really hard thing for young adults who have spent their whole lives in a sport to transition out of it. And many of them are so into it, and it's their world, and then their world ends. They've done their 4 years that they're allowed to do, and their world is over. Yeah. And they've graduated, so they're now not under the umbrella of school anymore, and they are just lost. So we do carry that through graduation and beyond, but really the goal is to have them be okay with the transition prior to graduating.
Putting it into a broad perspective of what you'd like viewers here to take away from Onrise and the offering, and what makes it a little different than what's out there or what schools are providing. What's the message you'd like to leave the viewers with? Brenda, I'll start with you.
The issue of access is addressed because we will guarantee somebody is available within 48 hours of making the request. You get to see a player care specialist. Based on that player care specialist's assessment and discussion, if it needs to be escalated to therapy, or even we offer psychiatry and medication management, which is all anonymous to the coaches. That's also guaranteed in 48 hours to have that service provided. So it's really, it solves the access issue that is such a problem as well.
And so, like you said, it's real time. It's within a time frame which is, quite quick, so they can get the care they need and the help they need and the support they need. And it's something that, to the earlier point, wasn't really probably, they probably weren't aware that this was available to them, and it gets back to that access point.
Right.
Yeah. And what's your takeaway in terms of what you'd like the viewers to know a little bit more about Onrise?
I believe one of the biggest is when it comes down to the university or the institutions, you can have all these great resources in place, but if you really want to help the student athlete want to be able to deal with people they can relate to, they can trust, and most of that comes with the peer support. And what we offer from that player care perspective, it's a former athlete who's lived their life, but been in their shoes, who can relate.
Right, and then respect.
Relatability, respectability builds trust that allows you to have your services used, and now you can truly help your student athlete. Because without them feeling like they can trust or feeling like it's in their best interest to open up and share, they're gonna carry it with them, and at some point in time, you can only carry it so much.
And it's interesting, the theme that we've had a couple of times here today is the theme of anonymity and feeling trusting that it's going to be anonymous, to the feeling of open and understanding and opening themselves up to, like you said, one of their peers who's part of the program.
Right.
And so there's that balance, which is healthy, I would think, right? I mean, they feel protected, but they also feel like they have someone they can talk to.
Yes.
Yeah. They're talking every day in the locker room, but the resources has not been equipped with some of those student athletes. They haven't been empowered to, hey, now I have some more resources, I can help you when I'm talking to you.
And that's an interesting point. When they're talking in the locker room, do you think they're talking about, hey, there's this program like this, there are these resources like that? Do you think that's becoming more and more prevalent or aware?
So one thing I can just speak on personally, I know when you're dealing with something heavy or something good, you're going to share it in the locker room. As far as NIL opportunities or what you have gotten, you're going to share it in the locker room. Now, if there's a resource that doesn't help you, most likely you will share it in the locker room. But first, you got to be exposed to it and be made aware of it. And that's where I think the biggest piece of a third party coming in, universities having this issue or wall up of thinking someone's trying to come take over and get into the space. No, it's really a value add, and at the way we're adding value, at the way we're helping so many athletes, and the way that collegiate sports is changing, you got to be open to the opportunity to not try to do it all yourself.
Right, and not be pushing back against opportunities or access points or tools that can help the student athletes. But to your point, welcoming them in.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, it's an important issue, and it's an issue that, as you've heard this morning in Las Vegas at our conference, it's on everybody's mind, and everybody's committed to doing the right thing. Onrise is a program that moves forward and does offer a lot of the benefits that the student athletes can help, or can use that help. So we're really pleased to have Brenda McBride and Derrick Furlow from Onrise on our SBJ Executive Insight from the Bellagio in Las Vegas at the SBJ Intercollegiate Athletic Forum, presented by Learfield.